Quote of the day: laughter is God's way of reminding us that joy is a language that the soul never forgets. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 22. That is the quote of the day. Now let's get right into this video. Now, this week, this episode of Smackdown was actually pretty decent, you know? It could have been a lot worse, let me tell you that. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the best thing we've ever seen, but it definitely wasn't terrible. You know, it's better than some of the previous Smackdowns we've seen, you know? This was decent. There was some enjoyable parts, you know? That's all I could say, you know? It wasn't terrible. So, to not waste any more of your time, let's just get right into this video, you know? And let's talk about what we got. So, we kicked off Smackdown with a Logan Paul in-ring promo. And let me just say, dude, I'm not a fan of Logan Paul, you know, his outside stuff, his, you know, drama, all that. I'm not really a big fan of that stuff, but Logan Paul as a WWE superstar, I must say, he's improved so much. And this promo from him was so entertaining, dude. Like, this is one of the best, if not the best Logan Paul promos I've heard in WWE so far. This was amazing. This was entertaining, you know, and he's really grown into his character. Like, and I want to say Logan Paul is probably one of actually the most hated heels, you know, right now. Like, for like real heat wise, not, you know, kayfabe heat. I'm talking about like real heat. People can't stand him. Like, he's one of like the real heels we have right now. One of the few real heels we have right now. And this was amazing. The crowd was into this, you know, the crowd was into this. The crowd was cheering. The crowd was booing. Like, the crowd was behind this. This was so fun. And I loved how he was delivering everything, the jokes he was making, what he was saying. Like, this was good work by Logan Paul, you know. I gotta give credit where credit is due. I may not like Logan Paul as a person, but as a WWE superstar, you know, he's pretty good. He's pretty good, you know. I gotta give credit where it's due. But anyhow, let's just get right into it. So like I said, we kicked off with a Logan Paul in-ring promo. So Logan Paul basically comes out and he says, John Cena said I'm a parasite. Y'all think I'm a parasite. You're all afraid of change. I'm a disruptor. We're on Netflix because of me. We're on ESPN because of me. My value in the WWE is immeasurable. All I do is add. I even brought Prime to the WWE. I'm the future of this company, whether you like it or not. Put some respect on my name. Everyone backstage who's afraid of change, you better get on board. You better change with the company or get left behind, because I'm bringing change. And during this promo segment, Logan Paul even brought out some French words, you know. He was speaking French. You know, he was speaking that Français. He was speaking French, and he told the crowd in French, you know, he told the crowd to shut up. He said in French that, you know, John Cena's an imposter. John Cena doesn't belong here. You know, John Cena's an embarrassment. He said all this in French, and it was really entertaining. The crowd was eating it up. Like, this was a really good promo. Like I said, you know, I'm proud of Logan Paul. This was really good work by him. I enjoyed this so much. Anyhow, after Logan Paul gets everything he needed to say off his chest, you know, he says all this and all that, then John Cena eventually comes out. And John Cena comes out to like a massive pop, dude. The crowd went crazy. Oh my God, it was so loud. This was amazing. But anyhow, John Cena comes out and says, Logan Paul, you're not a disruptor. You're a wannabe. I'm the original disruptor. Everything you're doing now, I did that already 20 years ago. You're just following in my footsteps. And kid, that's a lesson in thugonomics. Logan Paul is a dollar store John Cena. And Logan, I recently saw a list of the top 25 influencers in the world. You know, it had names on there. People you know, iShowSpeed, Kaisa Nat, other streamers. But I saw you nowhere near that list. I didn't see you on that list at all, Logan Paul. Your name was nowhere to be found. John Cena then goes on to say, you made a few videos at the age of 12, a couple of diss tracks at 18, and when you make the front page at 30 years old, it will be for all the wrong reasons. Until you can be real and give your heart and soul to this business, the fans will always see you as a fake gimmick. You're just a gimmick. And Cena literally went on to apologize to a young fan. I don't know what the story behind this was, you know, what happened, but he actually apologized. He said, you know, I apologized before, but I want to make it known. I want to say it publicly, you know. When you mess up or, you know, something bad happens, you got to acknowledge your mistakes. And he's like, I apologize already, but I want to do it again. I'm sorry for whatever happened. You know, I was just having a bad day. And thank you for still being here. Thank you for still showing up for me, still supporting me. I love you. And he even took a picture and a video with the fan. I was like, dude, this is amazing. You know, we made the right person famous. You know, John Cena. Oh my God. Like, respect, dude. Hustle, loyalty, and respect, you know. Like, Jesus, this is a role model. This is a role model. I'm glad I grew up with John Cena, dude. He's one of a kind. And that's all I could say. But anyhow, like I said, John Cena went on to apologize to a young fan, a little kid, while simultaneously giving Logan Paul a lesson in respect. John Cena then, after he apologized to a fan, he says, You ask for this, Logan Paul. You have 24 hours to show up in the best shape of your life, do the best work of your life. And if you can't do that, you won't ruin wrestling. Wrestling's going to ruin you. So get ready, kid, because you asked for this. And that was the end of the segment. This was amazing. This was an amazing opener, dude. I loved every second of this. This was amazing. Anyhow, after this, the show immediately took a dive off a building and went straight downhill. We got our first match of the night, and it was Chelsea Green versus Alexa Bliss. Now, this was originally supposed to be Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus the Secret Service for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. But instead of that, we got a story where the Secret Service attacked Charlotte Flair before the match even started. So Charlotte Flair was unable to compete, so we got a nonsense match instead. We got Chelsea Green versus Alexa Bliss instead to replace that match. We got this nonsense instead. And I'm like, we've seen this already countless times. Come on, dude. Jesus. Anyhow, like I said, we got this nonsense instead. We got to the match. The match was pretty decent, actually. It wasn't terrible, I guess. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't anything good, anything memorable, anything like crazy, but it wasn't terrible either. It was decent. I don't know. It was at least watchable, I guess, for parts of it. But anyhow, this match, it literally does not count for anything. Like, nothing changes from this match. Nothing progresses. We're still at the same point, the same standstill, Nothing progresses from the winner of this match. Nothing changes. So this match was basically pointless. It was just a waste of time overall. But anyhow, it just symbolizes that this feud between Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, and the Secret Service is just going to continue. And I'm sure maybe all of two fans are excited about that, but I'm not one of those two fans. Anyhow, Alexa Bliss ended up winning via roll-up. So she rolled up Chelsea Green for the win. And I'm like, you're telling me Alexa Bliss, literally a veteran in this game, you're telling me she couldn't beat Chelsea Green cleanly? It had to be via roll-up. I'm like, come on. But anyhow, Alexa Bliss ended up winning via roll-up, which was so silly in my opinion. After the match, Alexa Bliss ended up getting beat down and jumped by Chelsea Green and the Secret Service. And an injured Charlotte Flair ended up hobbling out to the ring to the aid of Alexa Bliss, but she ended up getting jumped and laid out too. And the Secret Service and Chelsea Green beat up Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, and they leave them laid out. And Chelsea Green and the Secret Service are the last team standing. They stand tall, and that was that. That was the match. After this, we got some back-to-back pointless garbage segments. So I'm not even going to waste too much time on them. We're just going to fly through them. So we got a pointless Sami Zayn backstage promo. He wasn't talking about anything. He was just talking about his match and that, when he was on Raw, he felt like he was wasting his time, whatever. It's good to get a fresh start on SmackDown. He's excited to be here, whatever. After that, we got an Aleister Black video package, and he wasn't talking about anything. He was just addressing Damian Priest, saying that he's going to hurt Damian Priest, and Damian Priest better watch out because he's coming from whatever. And then after that, we got a Damian Priest backstage interview promo. And he wasn't talking about anything either. He was just telling Aleister Black that, he better watch out because he's coming for Aleister Black. He's going to hurt Aleister Black. He knows Aleister Black is dangerous, but, he's ready for this match. He's ready for whatever, Aleister Black's going to throw at him. It's up and it's stuck, and that was that. And whatever. Okay. And those were the pointless segments we got back to back, mind you. Like, at least spread out the garbage. Jesus. Anyhow, after this, we got another pointless match. It was Mia Yim versus Kiana James. Now, I kid you not, in all seriousness, this was actually a 20-second match, and I'm not even making jokes or anything. This was literally a 20-second match. It was probably even 10 seconds. It was probably even less than that. This was literally like a 10-second match. Mia Chen ended up literally just rolling up Kiana James, and that was that. Like, match starts, ding, 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 roll up, 1, 2, 3, and Mia Chen wins. I'm like, what was that? Dude, this was such a waste of time. I'm like, what even is this nonsense? And this match was supposed to be, if Mia Chen wins, she gets to face Julia for the Women's United States Championship. And I'm like, dude, what even was this? I'm like, this made Kiana James look so strong. This definitely did not bury her. I'm like, what? What's even the idea behind this? What's the motive? This was so stupid. But anyhow, like I said, this match was all of 10 seconds, and Mia Chen ended up just rolling her up. No offense, no nothing, not a single punch thrown, just a roll up, and that was that. I'm like, come on. Anyhow, after that happens, Mia Chen proceeded to get jumped by both Kiana James and Julia. And Mia Chen ended up getting her face stomped into the steel stairs, which was probably the best thing that happened in this match and the most memorable thing that happened. But on the bright side, I guess, Mia Chen is the number one contender now for the US Championship. I guess that's the bright side. Whatever. Nobody cares. We're moving on, okay? I'm like, this could be a good rivalry. They're just not booking it correctly. This was just silly. This was just stupid. I don't like how the match was literally 10 seconds. At least build up Kiana James. She's a new star and everything. Like, who does that? But whatever. After this, we got a in-ring promo from Drew McIntyre, and he's still trying to figure out who he's feuding against. Because one week he's cutting a promo at Cody Rhodes, and the next week he comes out talking to Randy Orton, cutting a promo against Randy Orton and addressing Randy Orton. And then next week he's addressing Cody Rhodes again. I'm like, dude, who are you feuding against? Like, neither one of these men are here, which is a silly part. How are you feuding against two stars who don't even show up at this point? I'm like, come on, Jesus Christ. Drew deserves better than this nonsense. But anyhow, Drew McIntyre ended up coming out and he cut a promo addressing the Viper, Randy Orton. Drew McIntyre basically says, Randy Orton, instead of sneak attacking me, come out here and face me like a real man. And then Randy Orton ended up, he came out. You can't say I'm not a real man and I'm not going to come out. You say come out like a real man, I'm coming out like a real man. So Randy Orton, like a real man, came out, And Drew McIntyre tells Randy Orton, if last week you attacked me for yourself, that's fine. If you attacked me because I embarrassed you at SummerSlam, that's fine. But if you attacked me because of Cody Rhodes, that's not fine. Cody Rhodes is not your friend. He's a liar. He's a politician. He's a fake. Cody Rhodes uses you. He knows how to hurt you. He knows your weaknesses, and he uses that against you. Cody Rhodes does not care about you. If you believe Cody Rhodes is your friend, you're an idiot, Randy. And Randy Orton looks at Drew McIntyre, and he says, you may be right, Drew. You may have some good points, I see what you're saying, and he says, but don't get it wrong, Drew. Last week I didn't drop you for Cody or because of Cody. I dropped you because you're a prick, and that was simply it. Drew McIntyre ended up attacking Randy Orton, and this led to a brawl. Randy Orton got headbutted. Drew McIntyre got hit with a draping DDT. Randy Orton ended up RKOing every official and every security guard member that showed up to break up the match. He RKO'd everyone. And Randy Orton even lined up Drew McIntyre for a punt kick, but Drew McIntyre ended up rolling out the way, so he didn't get punt kicked. He got saved by his instinct, by the grace of God, he got saved. So Drew McIntyre rolled out the way of that punt kick, and that was that. And that was the end of that segment. After this, we got our third match of the night, and it was Melo Don't Miz versus the Street Profits in a tag team number one contenders match. Now, this was an entertaining match. We had two amazing teams in the ring, and both of these teams did their thing. They showed up and they showed out. Everything was entertaining, from the high-flying moves to the reversals to the move sequences. Everything was fun and everything was entertaining, man. I enjoyed this match from start to finish. This was so fun. Melo Don't Miz is amazing in the ring. The Street Profits are amazing in the ring, as you already know. So this was just a fun match overall. But anyhow, at the end of the match, due to distractions from the Wyatt Six, the Street Profits were able to pick up the win over Melo Don't Miz. They used the distraction, they got the advantage, and they hit a tag team finisher on Melo Don't Miz. So the Street Profits are your new number one contenders for the Smackdown Tag Team Championships. And I believe they will be facing the Wyatt Six at Clash in Paris for the Smackdown Tag Team Championships. After this, we got a not so terrible segment between Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton. So basically, this match is official. Jade Cargill will be facing off against Tiffany Stratton. I'm not sure if it's going to be at Clash in Paris or at a later date, but the match is official. It was announced. And this match is happening stupidly enough because Jade Cargill picked up the pin in their tag team match last week. I'm like, this makes no sense. It was a tag team match. It wasn't even a number one contenders match or anything. You tell me because she pinned Nia Jax in their tag team match last week, she's automatically first in line. I'm like, what? What's this writing, dude? This makes no sense. But anyways, these women just, they were backstage trash talking each other, and they were just basically, throwing insults at each other, But anyhow, the most important thing is that this match is official, and Jade Cargill will be facing off against Tiffany Stratton, against Tiffy Time for a second time, and that's that. After this, we got to our fourth match of the night, and we finally got to our main event. And it was Solo Sikoa versus Sami Zayn for the United States Championship. And during this match, with all the interferences we got, this was basically a 4v1, This was a 4-on-1. Sami Zayn was outnumbered for most of this match. Until Jim Uso and Jacob Fatu, the Samoan werewolf, Fatu, Yaramin, until Jim Uso and Jacob Fatu came out to equalize the playing field, But overall, this was a decent match, I'm not going to lie to you. This was pretty entertaining at parts, I found myself enjoying this match a little bit. It wasn't anything crazy, anything, memorable, but, it was fun to watch in the moment. I did enjoy this match for what it was. But anyway, after a hard-fought battle, Sami Zayn was able to hit a haluva kick on Solo Sikoa for the win. And Sami Zayn is your new United States champion. And well, I guess that was Solo Sikoa's reign as United States champion, And I'm just sitting here left to wonder what's next, what's next for Solo Sikoa? What now? Because this was his reign, really? This was his championship reign? That's all he got? That's all he gets? No memorable stories, nothing. This is all he got, and now he's no longer a United States champion. He's still the leader of the MFTs, but the MFT group looks so unserious. They don't matter. They're not menacing. They're nothing at the moment, you know. And you're telling me that you take the championship off Solo Sikoa. Like, what now? What's next? You think people are going to take them any more seriously now, dude? I'm like, this is crazy. Like, this is the reign he gets. That's insane. But then, yeah, whatever. That's what he got. That's what it was. You know, it was fun while it lasted, I guess. And I'm just waiting to see what's next, where they go from here. And, you know, I hope they don't waste Solo Sikoa. They don't put him in some pointless stuff, you know. They actually give him time to shine, you know, because he's really entertaining at the end of the day. So I hope they don't lose hope in him. You know, he still has some good stories and like they do something. I hope he goes solo, honestly. I hope Solo goes solo. I hope he breaks out by himself and does solo stuff, you know, does stuff on his own. He does not need the MFTs. Like every member of the MFT, I feel like they could stand on their own and they would benefit more from standing on their own, you know, being their own person. They don't need to be in a group. This Bloodline 2.0 thing, this MFTs thing, it's dead, you know, it's done for. Like we got to move on from this. But anyhow, like I said, Sami Zayn pinned Solo Sikoa. You know, he hit a haluva kick, pinned Solo Sikoa, and Sami Zayn is your new United States champion. And that was that. And that was your whole show, and that's how it ended. And yeah, that was SmackDown this week. But anyways, I'd rate this episode of SmackDown a solid 6 out of 10. We got some really good promos and even some meaningful matches. This wasn't too bad, you know. I have to be fair, gotta give credit where credit is due. We've seen some bad episodes of SmackDown. No, we've seen worse. We've seen even more terrible SmackDown episodes, but this was not one of them. It wasn't amazing, you know. It wasn't anything perfect. It wasn't close to that. It wasn't anything amazing. It wasn't good, but it definitely wasn't as bad as some of the stuff we've been getting lately, you know, as some of the episodes we've been getting lately. This was pretty decent in my book, you know. We had some good promos, some important matches, and that's you know the bare minimum you could ask for. So yeah, I did enjoy this episode this week, you know, more than the past episodes we've been getting. So you know, I have to give credit where credit is due once again. So I'm going to rate it a solid 6 out of 10. But anyhow, that's my review and my breakdown of SmackDown this week. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for hearing me out. And thank you for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to. And like, comment, and subscribe if you choose to. As always, it's been a pleasure, and I'm out.